Looks like the clown show continues to go on in the Indiana Fever organization led by Amber Cox, clown show, Kelly Krauskopf, clown show, and the bozo of all bozos, head coach Stephanie White, who's just, all of them, they are just sabotaging Caitlin Clark's career. It looks like GM Andrew Cox fires off on Caitlin Clark fans on social media and starts blocking them as well. This is an immature, nasty organization. Caitlin Clark and her agent Aaron Kane need to demand a trade immediately. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel.
A shocking trade request has reportedly entered the conversation, and the Indiana Fever find themselves facing growing pressure from all sides. Speculation surrounding an alleged effort to undermine Caitlin Clark has intensified, creating a wave of controversy that the organization can no longer ignore. What once seemed like concerns over coaching decisions has now evolved into something much bigger in the eyes of fans and analysts. Questions are mounting about the handling of the team's biggest superstar, and scrutiny is falling directly on the Fever's leadership. As more attention is drawn to a series of controversial choices, Stephanie White and her staff are finding themselves under an increasingly powerful spotlight, with critics demanding answers and the pressure continuing to build.
Caitlin Clark and her agent Aaron Kane need to demand a trade immediately. Welcome to Keep the Vision. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, hit that bell notification, and hype the video. That'd be greatly appreciated. Let's get right into things. So we all watched the travesty that took place last night, and Stephanie White trying to crash out on Caitlin Clark, Raven Johnson fouling out in 9 minutes. I mean, it just was a complete joke by Stephanie White. I think she exposed herself. I think she exposed the fact that she's not a good coach at all, and she needs to be fired. And if you don't want to fire her,
Amber Cox has found herself at the center of growing backlash after a series of social media interactions that many fans have viewed as increasingly defensive. Rather than calming concerns from supporters, her online responses have only added fuel to the controversy. Critics argue that instead of directly addressing questions from the fan base, the Indiana Fever's general manager appears to be pushing back against the very people who support the team. Much of the frustration stems from how Caitlin Clark's late absence from a recent game was communicated, a decision that sparked widespread criticism among fans. As tensions continue to rise, many are questioning whether these reactions are an attempt to deflect attention from deeper issues behind the scenes, placing even more scrutiny on the organization's leadership.
And then he also had this today. He had a bunch of things to say. So we got Amber Cox blocking Caitlin Clark fans, right? Because she can't handle the heat, so she need to get her ass up out the kitchen and get up out of here. Get your ass up out the kitchen and get up out of here. She can't handle the heat and the pressure that's coming with this, and she's bewilting under the pressure. Okay, Jason Whitlock has had this to say. Check this out. Here it says, these four women put the alphabet mafia agenda above basketball business. Your personal life should be your personal life. It should not be your business agenda. Okay.
And the controversy escalated even further when reports surfaced that Amber Cox had blocked several prominent critics on social media, including commentator Jason Whitlock, after they voiced concerns about the team's handling of recent issues. To many observers, that reaction raised even more questions than it answered. When a front office executive appears more focused on shutting out criticism than responding to it, it often signals that the pressure surrounding the situation is reaching a breaking point. Critics argue that managing a player with Caitlin Clark's level of attention and influence comes with intense scrutiny, and avoiding those conversations does little to ease growing concerns. Instead, the response has fueled perceptions of an organization struggling to handle mounting public criticism, with many fans questioning whether the Fever's leadership is equipped to navigate the spotlight that comes with one of basketball's biggest stars.
Above basketball business, your personal life should be your personal life. It should not be your business agenda. Okay, and these are the four who are responsible for the sabotage of Caitlin Clark. And you too, Lynn Dunn is a part of the sabotage of Caitlin Clark. Obviously, Bozo the Clown, Stephanie White is a part of the sabotage of Stephanie White's a part of the sabotage of Caitlin Clark. GM Amber Cox, I don't do no scouting. I can't put a roster together to save my life. Amber Cox is a part of the sabotage. And president of basketball operations.
Stephanie White's approach in the team's most recent game sparked intense debate, with many fans and analysts questioning the direction of her game plan. One decision in particular stood out. Indiana used 11 different players during the opening quarter alone, a rotation pattern that immediately drew attention across the basketball world. Critics argued that such constant lineup changes can make it difficult for starters to establish any consistency or build momentum early in the game. While some viewed the move as an attempt to experiment with different combinations, others saw it as evidence of a team still searching for an identity. As frustration continues to grow around the Fever's performance and player usage, those controversial coaching choices have become a major talking point and have only fueled further speculation about what is really happening behind the scenes.
Playing 3 games in 4 nights. It was actually Portland playing its 3rd game in 4 nights. Steph played 11 players in the first quarter. Wrong coach. 11 players in the first quarter is an atrocity. It is a fireable offense. It is a fireable offense. You got Amber Cox blocking Jason Whitlock because he's being honest and keeping it real about what is going on with the Indiana Fever. They played 11 damn players in the first quarter. They put Ty Harris into the game before they subbed Caitlin Clark back in.
One coaching decision has become a major source of controversy among fans and commentators. Why was Ty Harris sent back onto the floor before Caitlin Clark at such a critical moment? That question quickly spread across social media as critics dissected Stephanie White's rotation choices. To many observers, the move seemed to halt Clark's momentum just as she appeared ready to make an impact. What might have been viewed as a simple substitution in another situation is now being interpreted by some as part of a larger pattern of questionable player management. As concerns continue to grow over how the Fever are utilizing their biggest star, frustration among supporters is reaching new heights, and the debate surrounding the team's direction is becoming impossible to ignore.
The fix isn't in? Y'all don't believe the fix is in? Come on, man. A blind man could see this. This organization is a joke and a clown show. He also had this to say: if the Indiana Fever are run like a business, the decision to build around Caitlin Clark is easy. If the Indiana Fever are part of the WNBA's LGBTQ's agenda, then decisions are complicated and Caitlin Clark will be sacrificed. And it seems to be clear as day. It seems to be clear as day what they have decided.
As the controversy continues to grow, a significant amount of criticism has been directed toward 4 key figures within the Indiana Fever organization: Lynn Dunn, Stephanie White, Amber Cox, and Kelly Krauskopf. Many frustrated fans and commentators have pointed to this leadership group as being responsible for the decisions that have fueled the team's ongoing drama. Some critics have even gone so far as to argue that the organization has failed to fully capitalize on Caitlin Clark's impact, creating unnecessary tension both on and off the court. According to those concerns, internal priorities and questionable decision-making have contributed to growing frustration among supporters and raised questions about the team's overall direction. When confidence in leadership begins to erode, it can affect everything from locker room morale to public perception, making the pressure on the Fever's front office greater than ever.
So I had this to say: if the Indiana Fever are run like a business, the decision to build around Caitlin Clark is easy. If the Indiana Fever are part of the WNBA's LGBTQ's agenda, then decisions are complicated and Caitlin Clark will be sacrificed. And it seems to be clear as day. It seems to be clear as day what they have decided. It seems to be clear as day what they've decided. This organization is not doing right by Caitlin Clark. This organization is a circus. This organization.
Jason Whitlock intensified the debate by launching a sharp critique of the Indiana Fever's leadership, arguing that factors outside of basketball are influencing key decisions within the organization. In his commentary, he suggested that Caitlin Clark is not being placed at the center of the team's long-term strategy in the way many fans expected. Whitlock contends that the franchise has become distracted by issues unrelated to winning games, a claim that has sparked heated discussion across the sports world. Supporters of that viewpoint argue that some some of the Fever's most controversial choices are difficult to explain from a purely basketball perspective. Whether those accusations hold merit or not, they have added another layer of scrutiny to an organization that is already facing intense pressure from fans, media, and analysts alike.
You've done a disservice to the WNBA, and that's why Amber and Kelly has to leave also. See, y'all got this little weird relationship because y'all was all part of the organization years ago and whatnot, so y'all feel like y'all can do no wrong. Y'all are literally destroying the reason why people wanted to watch this motherfucker in the first place after 30 years.
Exactly.
This is crazy. You are a fucking horrible coach.
Typical.
That is, shout out to Angry Fan Sports. Y'all go over there and subscribe. They are destroying the very thing that got everybody paid.
Stephanie White's coaching philosophy has become one of the most heavily debated topics surrounding the Indiana Fever. Critics have zeroed in on the team's defensive approach, particularly the frequent switching across all 5 positions. Opponents have repeatedly taken advantage of those matchups, creating situations where smaller guards are forced to battle much bigger players near the basket. Many fans and analysts believe those issues have been apparent for weeks, yet the system has largely remained unchanged, fueling even more questions about the team's overall strategy. At the same time, frustration has increasingly shifted toward the Fever's leadership group. Detractors argue that too many of the same decision makers have long-standing professional ties, creating an environment where accountability is difficult to find. According to critics, when disappointing results pile up, responsibility often seems to get lost rather than addressed directly. That perception has only intensified as expectations around the franchise continue to grow. A major point of contention has been the organization's efforts to build around Caitlin Clark. Many observers expected the Fever to aggressively construct a roster tailored to maximize the strengths of one of basketball's most dynamic playmakers. Instead, some analysts believe the team has invested resources in players who don't perfectly complement Clark's style of play, leading to ongoing debates about roster construction and long-term planning. Those concerns have placed additional scrutiny on general manager Amber Cox and the front office's vision for the future. The spotlight surrounding Clark has also brought a level of attention unlike anything the organization has experienced before. Every lineup decision, substitution pattern, and roster move is now dissected in real time by fans and media. Some critics believe the Fever have struggled to adapt to that reality, appearing increasingly defensive as questions about the team's direction continue to mount. Rather than quieting the controversy, several public responses from leadership have only generated more discussion. Comparisons to other franchises have become unavoidable. Supporters often point to stars such as Aja Wilson and Paige Bueckers, noting that successful organizations typically build their systems around elite talent and allow those players to carry the team through critical moments. As a result, every unusual rotation decision involving Clark attracts immediate attention, with fans questioning whether Indiana is maximizing the impact of its biggest star. Another flashpoint emerged when discussions surrounding Clark's late scratch from a game appeared to overshadow the Fever's victory. Reports and social media reactions sparked further debate about how the organization communicates with fans and handles major storylines involving its franchise player. For many supporters, the issue wasn't simply about one game. It was about whether the team fully understands the significance of Clark's presence both on the court and for the league as a whole. The criticism intensified after a later matchup exposed many of the same concerns that fans had been raising throughout the season. A disappointing loss reignited questions about the team's ability to make adjustments, execute consistently, and respond when opponents attack their weaknesses. As the Fever continue navigating enormous expectations, every setback adds more pressure on Stephanie White, Amber Cox, and the rest of the leadership group to prove they have a clear plan moving forward. For now, the debate surrounding Indiana remains one of the biggest stories in the WNBA. With Caitlin Clark at the center of the spotlight, every decision is being examined more closely than ever, and the organization faces growing pressure to turn potential into results before frustration among fans reaches an even higher level. The performance became a lightning rod for criticism, with many fans pointing to it as a perfect example of the concerns they have raised about the Fever's coaching staff and front office leadership. Every questionable substitution, defensive breakdown, and strategic decision seemed to fuel an already growing debate about the direction of the franchise. The controversy only intensified when reports surfaced that Amber Cox had blocked high-profile critics, including media personalities such as Jason Whitlock. To many observers, that move created the impression that the organization organization was becoming increasingly defensive in the face of mounting scrutiny. Critics argue that strong leadership addresses difficult questions head-on, while avoiding those conversations often invites even more speculation and frustration from fans. Questions surrounding Indiana's defensive system have also become impossible to ignore. During recent broadcasts, commentators openly discussed some of the challenging matchups the Fever's defensive schemes were creating. Analysts noted situations where smaller guards, including Caitlin Clark, were left defending significantly larger players after switches. Because Indiana relies heavily on switching defenses, those mismatches have become a recurring topic of conversation among fans, broadcasters, and basketball analysts alike. As a result, Stephanie White's coaching decisions are being examined more closely than ever. Every rotation choice, lineup adjustment, and game management decision is now dissected in real time. For some supporters, the repeated controversies have created a perception that the team is failing to maximize the strengths of its most important players. Others view the struggles as growing pains within a team still searching for consistency. Regardless of where people stand, the criticism continues to grow with each passing game. The larger debate centers on a simple question: is the organization doing everything possible to build around Caitlin Clark? From a business standpoint, Clark's impact is undeniable. She attracts viewers, drives ticket sales, generates media attention, and has become one of the most recognizable athletes in the sport. Because of that, many fans believe every major decision should begin with finding ways to help her and the team succeed together. Instead, critics argue that too many choices have created confusion rather than clarity. Whether the discussion involves roster construction, offensive strategy, defensive philosophy, or player rotations, a growing segment of the fan base believes the franchise lacks a clear and consistent vision. Those concerns have sparked ongoing debates about whether basketball priorities are fully aligned throughout the organization. Meanwhile, frustration among Fever supporters appears to be reaching new heights. Across social media, podcasts, and sports talk shows, fans continue voicing concerns about the team's leadership and overall direction. Many feel that their questions have gone unanswered, while others believe legitimate criticism has been dismissed rather than addressed. What makes the situation especially significant is the level of attention now focused on Indiana. The Fever are no longer just another team in the league. With Caitlin Clark at the center of the spotlight, every decision carries national attention, and every controversy becomes a major story. That reality has raised the stakes for everyone involved, from the coaching staff to the front office. Ultimately, the organization faces a defining moment: the pressure to produce results, establish a clear identity, and fully capitalize on one of basketball's brightest stars continues to grow. Fans want answers, analysts want accountability, and expectations remain sky high. Whether the Fever can quiet the criticism and turn the conversation toward winning basketball remains to be seen. But one thing is certain: the spotlight is not getting any smaller, and every move from this point forward will be watched more closely than ever.